welcome to Leap Taken. Here at Leap Taken, I talk about all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. And there's a couple things we're going to get out of the way with this video. I'm in the process of finishing retightening the rest of my hair. This is the section I have left. So we're going to call this a style, and you're just going to go with this. 2, I'm drinking wine because I'm filming this at a certain time in the evening, and this is when time allows it. And I really want to talk about this subject, but I really want this wine. So now that we got those things out of the way, let's get into the topic. So I have notes because I want to be on point. I want to get my point across. So we're going to talk about this whole idea of calling in your power. And for some of us, just taking our power back. But I'm just going to stick to calling in your power. So what does that mean exactly? So when I say calling in your power, I want you to think of situations. I'm going to give you a couple different examples of why you might want to call it in, and then therefore you'll understand what it means. So myself, I've been a mother. I've been a mother since I was 22 years old. I became a mother at 22 years of age. Technically 21 because I got pregnant. So I had my daughter in April. My birthday was March. So there you go. So I've been having to think and be a mother. Then I added another child at the age of 25. I got married when I was 5 months pregnant with my second child. I was engaged to the father the whole time with the first kid and everything, right? So blah, blah, blah. Fast forward, dating life, single mom, all the things I said I didn't want. Boom, got married, was married for a lot of years, almost 20 years. I don't remember. Anyway, the point is, in that time frame, I've been a mom the whole time. This is not about the dudes, it's about the kids. So one of the things that I want to do at this point of my life, as I'm leaving my 40s as of next year, no, seriously, I'm proud of that. I used to be weird. I would say I'm a woman of a certain age. If you watch this channel, I've said that a lot. Or I would say, I'm a woman in her 40s because I was comfortable with that. The world makes you feel very scary advancing in age. But the alternative is I die and I'd like to live. So I think I look really good. I feel good for the most part. We're not going to talk about the Halloween decorations that are ongoing. That almost took me out over the weekend. That's not what we're here to talk about because that almost took me out. For 2 days, I could barely move. My back was that's aging, but it could just be I'm not in in a good shape for me, or a combination of both. I want to go with this whole I don't stretch enough maybe, or I haven't been lately. So we'll blame that, but it could be because I'm aging and, lifting and doing things that in my mind, that girl that's in her 20s and 30s, she's still here. All of my iterations still exist. So I still just want to go do the things to set up. But I have to realize, as my daughter told me, you have to lift with use your legs, not your back. And I'm like, okay, it's already done and I'm dying now and I can't get out the bed. But anyway, calling in my power from those years of being a mother, of being kind of Johnny on the spot for everybody's problem, whether if you get that call from the school because your kid's sick, because your kid's going through something with another kid, and then I had more than one child. And then at one point I had a stepchild that was entering the conversation as a teenager. So I'll just say this, a lot of the, for lack of better words, prayers and setting intentions and just all of that went to my kids. First and foremost, protection, my kids, myself obviously, but definitely my kids. So it's not that I don't still love them and care about them and want them protected, but they're adults and they're responsible for their choices and their decisions. I keep them covered in energy of protection. However, they have the will to do as they please, even if it means putting themselves gasp in dangerous situations. But I can't control that. All I can do is send out, just like you, the viewer watching this, and you're living your life a little crazy, I send positive, healing, protective energy to you. But I can't control you, I can tell you what I think, but you're going to ultimately do what you want. So I have all this energy I'd like to call in that has been reserved for keeping them. My daughter finally finished her second degree, and we supported her as a family for that because she has big dreams. She started out being wanting to go into being a doctor. To be perfectly honest, she for 2 years in a row applied for medical school, and she just didn't get in. She graduated from the University of Miami. She did well, blah blah blah. A lot of energy. Do you see what I mean? A lot of my energy went into trying to help her situation. In the end, she ended up doing nursing. She'll probably go eventually and get some third degree in advance because she's just super smart and that's just who she is. And she's genuinely a healer because she's both called to help people. I have been very, in this last couple years, very on top of that, Johnny on the spot for her, being there to make sure, energetically speaking, magically speaking, spiritually speaking. I'm going to take that as a sign to get back on point. The point is, it's time for me to pull that energy in, call it in. I'm not leaving them to the whims of the universe. I've taught them well. But it's time for me to call in my energy where normally, picture this, whether it's your kids, your man, your woman, or whatever, your job, this, or even an idea of how your life is supposed to be. You have like a tether into these people, situations, or things. You are tethered, and there's this like connection where you are pouring energy in. It's just this coming. Sometimes maybe it comes back, but for the most part, it's a lot of outward energy. I am breaking the tether. That is what I mean. Hopefully you get what I mean. I'm calling in my energy by breaking that tether. The mother thing. Listen, I have, I didn't even think I would be a mother when I was younger. And I was shocked that I actually took to motherhood in the way that I did. But here we are. But even situations, that's another thing. So for me, it's motherhood in the way that I've been doing it. I'm in a new phase of motherhood. I can drink with my children. They're both over 21 years of age, one well over. Nobody's got grandkids yet, has given that. So that's not the phase we're in. So I'm sort of enjoying them as an adult. So I can release that tether in the way that I had in that, kind of helicopter mom style that I was doing before. So that's calling that in. Situations. I know situationship sounds like I'm talking about a person, but more like this idea. A lot of us are caught up, especially us practitioners included, and we, every new moon, whatever the time is right, energetically speaking, we're trying to create this ritual or something to bring about this life that we dream, our dream life, whatever that is. And I'm not saying there's something flawed or wrong with that. But for me, where I'm at today, everything has changed. My situation has changed completely. You think you know what you're going to, because of where I'm at right now. I had these ideas of what things would be like now, high level. I never really wanted to get too in the fine print on what things would be. And I think that's a way for me to protect myself, which is a good thing. I don't get too caught up into that. Of like, oh, when I'm this age, how will things be? In this year, this is how I plan for it to be or how I want it to be. So I don't do that. Like, don't ask me where do I see myself in 5 years. That brings some sort of anxiety in me. And I think it's, now professionally speaking, if I'm asked that question, I have the answers. I'll say some BS and just keep it pushing. But like personally speaking, don't ask me that. I don't know. The whims of the universe and whatever I conjure is where I'll be. But seriously, though, I really need to do sort of a new thing. I have to release the tethers to even high level of what I thought things would be like for me where I'm at right now. I mean, I love beloved Florida. Florida was my place. To know me is to know how much I enjoy living near the ocean. I wanted to be a sea witch so bad. I was trying to make that a thing. I'm not, but I really enjoy being close to the ocean. Um, you couldn't pay me to move to the state of Florida at the way things are politically speaking. But that was another thing. I had to release the tethers, the energy to Florida. I repeatedly moved back to Florida. My family moved a lot. I was always trying to move us back to Florida. I think I've moved to Florida about 4 times. Big household moves. I just kept moving back. So I've released that. Like, this is something I put into practice, this calling in my energy. Or I should just say releasing the tethers. So I've untethered myself from the idea of living in Florida. And instead, and this is a recent thing, by the way, because I was talking about wanting to kind of have this dual life in Arizona because I really like being on the West Coast. So that's something I had to let go. So the concept of motherhood and the way that I have been doing it, tethers, remove that. Calling back that energy. The idea of being settled and living in Florida by that ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, deep down, I don't even really like the Atlantic Ocean. Like, I lived all parts of Florida, so the Gulf area, that was nice. Like, I lived in Naples, that was beautiful. Love that, the sunsets, but I've had beautiful sunsets here. I don't have an ocean. My goal is to have a pool between me, you and me. My goal is a pool eventually, or at least access to one, But for now, I just enjoy the sunsets right out my front window, and they're stunning, beautiful sunsets living here. And I appreciate that. So then the ideas of what I thought high level my life would be, I've had to release that, because why are you putting energy? And I was doing that. Why am I still trying to put energy into something that's just not going to be? And why is it going to be? Because there's the other part of me that knows I don't even want that anymore. I don't want that. Like, if I could explain to you how happy I really am, and just I'm going to be fully transparent. Like, I live in I think it's like 1,400 square feet. No, it's 1,300. 1,300 square feet square foot cottage. I adore this home. I love decorating it. It has extremely high ceilings, so the rooms definitely feel just larger than what they are. It's brand new. That I love that, and that was on my manifesting wish list, or so to speak, when I was conjuring this home up. I am continuously decorating in the way that I love. The energy, because I am a cottage witch, when I walk into any place in my home, is just lovely. Even when it's messy, it's just more of a thing like, oh, clean me, not like, I hate it. It's cluttered. It's becoming more cluttered in a way that it makes my heart full. I remember having all these grandiose ideas when I was younger, and I just did not have the money, especially as a single mom, to carry the vision out. And even when I was married the second time, initially, we didn't have that kind of expendable money. So especially like 2008, gosh, that was the worst time. Anyway, but here we are now. Here I am now, and I get to do those things, and I get to buy the things, and my life is different. I don't have to feed kids. I don't have an enormous grocery bill. Like, I'm just different. So I'm dreaming a new dream, and once upon a time, I thought I wanted this because I lived in like really big houses in the burbs. I still live in kind of suburbs, but I wanted that, and I had it, and I thought I would keep wanting it, but I don't. I like my little small cottage house that I can keep track of and decorate and change things out, and it makes me so happy. So those are just some examples from a personal point of view, but more on a generalized point of view. Again, so calling in your energy really just means kind of breaking that tether where you're constantly feeding in, whether it's with your thoughts, your dreams, what you're manifesting, your overall energy of what the life you think you're supposed to have, or the job that you've been pouring into, but you really just keep doing it because, I mean, you need a job, but it doesn't do anything for you. You don't really like it. It's different if you kind of feel neutral about your job. It's another thing if you hate it, you know? But you've created this tether, and instead of releasing it, you keep going. And, you know, that's draining, by the way, which is where I'm going next. So why should you do this? Why should you call in your energy? Because those things don't fit anymore. And you are just putting energy into something that is never going to give you anything back. You're not getting any sort of return on investment. Your job, some person in your life who you keep waiting for them to act right. You keep waiting for them to love you in the way that you want. So you choose not to even think about it anymore. And instead, you know, there's just this, the worst thing is to be like in a situation with someone, in a relationship with someone. And this could be romantic or not. And it's always feeling one-sided. That's that tether I'm talking about, where you're just you're giving this energy, and it's not ever coming back in the way that you do. That's draining. You need to call that energy back in. What does that look like? So let's get into that. So that looks like maybe performing a ritual and doing a cord cutting. That looks like doing a spiritual bath so that you can sort of reset. And then you can kind of take it from there, reaching out to spirit, to ancestors, to figure out what does that look like, this new life. Because for some people, you have to kind of do baby steps with this. It's not an all or nothing. I've been doing baby steps, thinking I'm doing all or nothing, but kind of like now that I'm on this other side, I'm like, no, I slow walk that. But I needed to do that as well. You only know what you know, even as a practitioner. I do readings for myself to try to just get a message through that, because I can't see it. But even my interpretation, because I'm doing it for myself, my interpretation is still biased on my current thoughts and my current situation. A lot of times I'll involve another person to do a reading for me. Actually, I have one right here in the house, my daughter. She's been reading cards since she was a teenager. Excellent. So I'll get her involved, and she kind of she'll have a different perspective. I'll pull the cards, but she'll come over and give me a different perspective. And I kind of need that sometimes. But book a reading with me, by the way, I can help you with that. It's good sometimes if someone else is doing it who's not you. There's advantages to that. But no, so it looks like doing those sort of things, just a simple reading, honestly, to kind of just put you on a path. Like, so I don't know what my situation looks like. If you are newly into a new chapter in your life, you might need to call in your power back, call in your energy from previous situations, because you need it for this new chapter. You know, if you met a great guy or girl, and you still haven't wrapped up the situation with this other person or place, but that's going to be necessary for you to fully go kind of all in like you would like with the new person. That might be a reason, because you want to start something new, or you just want things to be a little different, or things are different and you can't keep taking the same approach. So I talked a little about the what and the why you should do these things, but I want to get a little bit more into the how to call back your power or energy in this case. So removing that tether that you have to situations. I talked about rituals. There's definitely a spell that you can do to help with that. That's something I could definitely help someone with if they were interested. But yeah, there's definitely spells. I would probably take more of a multi-spell approach with that sort of stuff, depending on the situation. Honestly, I want to say, okay, so working with a deity of your choice, or even your ancestors, setting up an altar and having a place to sort of go to talk it out, journal it out, light a candle. I have a black candle that I use to sort of absorb this kind of energy. It's not always just about negative energy. Sometimes it's just about releasing. And I don't want to wait until a certain lunar event. I need to do something with this energy now. So you may need to do things like that. Instead of that tether, replace it with something else. For me, it's a black candle. Okay. So in an example of me with the mothering thing. So before I start planning out my kid's life and going to like hyper focus on their problems, they just happen to mention something to me and I'm like, it's keeping me up at night. I would get out if that's happening to me. Not, I'm good now. This was a thing though. I'm like, it's in my head over and over. And it's like, I'm doing worst case scenarios of their lives. All they did was share a work story or this person, somebody in their life or a situation that's annoying to them. And I'm like over here trying to solve their life's problems. They don't need me for that anymore. So I'll go and I'll take release that tether to them and that stuff. And I go light my candle instead. So that's what I mean about the how-to, baby steps or multiple steps, whatever it is you need to do. And then just making a declaration, making a grand out loud, speak the words out loud declaration can be really beneficial in a situation like this. Sort of, you're aligning with your intention and you're using the element of air and projecting your voice and speaking out loud. And you can add other elementals in this to give a little bit more oomph to it, but just declaring that you are calling back in your power, your energy from, from this person, from this job, from this problem, whatever it is. Money, prime example. If you feel like you're struggling with money and it feels like there's more struggle than not, I'm going to say this to you because I talk about this all the time. There's the will, there's an engine running, and that is our currency and the way it works globally speaking. You want to be able to tap into that and you're riding the currency wave so that it flows to you. There's currency floating around. You want some of it to come to you. So you want to do spells and things like that. That should be your focus. You want to release the tether and call back your energy from the concept of, man, if it's not one thing, it's another, or those types of statements, or man, everything is so high. I catch myself too. You're declaring already, everything's so high, it's unaffordable. Oh man, I spend so much money. I don't know what I'm going to do. I spend too much money, or I don't have enough money. So release those tethers to that way of thinking as well. And let's talk about what to expect doing all these things. So, assuredness, being more powerful, especially as someone who casts spells and perform rituals. Confidence. And a thing you wouldn't think, but being more empathetic, and just making wiser decisions. When you call in your power, so now you're going to focus on you. So you're going to be doing more love spells, self-love spells. You're going to do more rituals that are comforting to you, whether it's a simple morning ritual or something more elaborate on the full moon or the new moon. When you're casting spells to bring in things, people, places to you, the level of intention that you have, knowing that you have broken this tether to this other situation and you've called that power in for you to now use toward the things you truly desire, where you currently are, not the dream you had 10 years ago, but where you are right now. That makes a more powerful caster, spellcaster. Those rituals are going to be just that more powerful. And then, of course, confidence. You've seen, even if it's in a kind of negative way, if you've been thinking from a place of lack, you've seen how it actually worked because you stayed broke. Let's just be honest. Thinking you'd rather have somebody than nobody Yeah, you had somebody, but you didn't have someone of, that was really worthy of your company and your time. Um, Having children and worrying yourself silly about everything they do once they get older, one, you push them away when you do that. They're not going to tell you about their problems. They're not going to come to you because if you have halfway decent children, they're going to be concerned that you can't seem to get past things and they don't want to upset mommy, that sort of situation. So that's not helpful at all. Once you release all that and you call it in, well, mother yourself, mother that inner child that might still need that. That's why most likely a lot of us still do that, because there's a part of us that still needs that mothering. Use that on yourself. You become more assured about yourself and your ability to manifest or to just be. And there's a confidence that definitely shows with that. So I hope I didn't lose anybody with this concept. This is the best way I could try to explain it, but this has been part of my overall healing journey I've been working on, I want to say, for the past, since 2021. This is something I've been doing with myself. I didn't have a name or anything, but it's just the action, the steps, the actions behind it. And as of late, on the other side of things, I've kind of really looked at it like, oh, shoot, okay, that's what I'm on the other side. So I know, one, this type of thinking, this approach definitely has worked. I've experimented with myself. And I'm actually seeing it with other people that I deal with as well. I would just say this is part of a healing journey. So I wouldn't say what I'm talking about, calling in your power, is the end all to be all, and that's it. I think it could be part of something bigger, but you have to see it that way, first off. You have to see that you are tethered to ideology, not being able to sort of break away from, Judeo-Christian beliefs that might be limiting you, not enhancing. I know for some people it does enhance them, and that's great. But for some people, if it's not enhancing, why are you still tethered to this? Call in that power. Maybe I'm becoming more wise with this age that I'm coming into, but I'm finding I need to take more time just for thinking. You know how older people used to do? They just, like my grandma, I remember she'd just sit out. She might nap for a minute, but she'd sit out for a bit, or they just kind of just sit. You ever, especially down south, like older people like that, they just sit out on the porch, or they stare out in some water or something like that, and they just seem at peace. There's no TV, maybe a radio, but they just chill. And then they might start talking, that sort of thing. There's something to be said with learning to be alone with your thoughts and being comfortable with that and sort of ruminating and working through some things. And then when you've done that, then you speak, then you express yourself. Most of my years and I feel that is where I'm more so at now. And it's definitely different than when I was younger, where I spent in my 20s, half the time I was convinced I was an indecisive person. No, I would learn what I thought was indecision was actually anxiety, but that's another conversation. And it was crippling because I was just terrified I was going to make a wrong choice or say the wrong thing. But so I would just blurt anything out. I still struggle with the concept of being around people who are very quiet. I could be in a public space and I'm alone, and if it's dead quiet, I have got to say something. I think that's something else going on. It just disturbs me that no one is talking. It's just weird. But anyway, that I'm opening up a little. That's too much transparency for one video. But yeah, let me know in the comments. Do you get what I'm talking about? This concept of calling in your power, but not in the way. I didn't want this to be something negative. I love being a mother, but the way I've been mothering is no longer necessary. I need to call that power in. The way even the state, like I said, that I live in, or where I thought I would want to live, that is no longer valid for me. That's no longer even something I dream about. So my last trip to Florida, I was like, I don't want to live here. And it dawned on me, I don't want to live here. So why am I still tethered to this idea, this notion, and this ideology that I'll end up in Florida? I mean, listen, things happen, but I'm not aiming for that. And I'm okay with that. So let me know if you're kind of, those are just the two things that I'm going to share here. But let me know, what are you ready to call in your power from? What are you ready to just release that tether, remove it, because you want to use that power and that energy for this other thing, or just learning to accept what is right now. And that doesn't have to be negative. That's not settling. It's just what it is. Because if you can kind of just be in a place of acceptance, you can then work from there to possibly even change it into something better than what you initially thought you wanted. And I will end it there. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit like, subscribe, share. Hit the join button to join Leap Taken membership. It's like a Patreon here on YouTube. It really helps. And I give bonus videos there. I like to get a little bit more intimate and a little bit more detail-y in those videos as well. And more to come with that, discounts and all that sort of stuff. I'm ramping up that more, so this is a great time if you want to join. Go to leaptaken.com, check out some of my services. I should be offering new mentorship slots soon, because I'm a one-woman show for now, so I can only do limited amounts, and I'm about ready to start offering some new slots if you're looking for the mentoring level 1 or 2. Also, I have the whole Ask a Witch service, so that's a little bit more informal, where it's a one-time thing. Hey, if you spells, reading, what is it that you're looking to get a little bit more understanding on, and we can sort it out together, as well as the readings that I offer as well. One of the readings is just a simple reading. The other, you will be getting some sort of customized spell or ritual, depending on what we kind of work through in that reading. All right, so thanks again for watching. Bye.